Indiana Fever front office is in serious trouble for revealing some major information.
The Indiana Fever just got exposed in the most embarrassing way possible. Despite making millions off Caitlin Clark, their front office doesn't even have a scouting department. That's right, they've been relying on players to scout talent while cashing in on Clark's star power. How does a professional team operate like this?
Whatever it takes to go find these players because they're available. And is it film study? Is it calling other coaching connections? What is
all
this
the above?
like?
Right, it's all the above. It's seeing film, watching clips, talking to contacts and connections. Bree and especially has been super helpful in this. She's got a lot of contacts overseas who have seen Kyra, for example, play a lot overseas. Teammates that she's had that are over there that played with her against her. Same thing with Odyssey. All three of our assistant coaches coached her in AU, so they have some familiarity with her. So it really is all hands on deck and trying to get the best person possible to fit.
Let's break it down. The Fever are running on pure luck, relying on Clark to keep the team relevant. But they're cutting every corner they can, including basic team-building infrastructure. And this is the team that's supposed to build around one of the hottest players in basketball. What happens when they fail to invest in her future?
Had Kyra been on your radar previously? Like, had she been a name that came up earlier in this process?
No.
So now that you've seen her play a little bit and having scouted a little bit, what is it about her that makes her the right fit for this
Well,
group?
I think number one, her preparation. From the initial phone call that Amber and Kelly had to, our conversations. She's been watching the team. She's studying what we're doing, studying how we've played opponents on both ends, what we've done to attack, what we've done on the defensive end. Reminds me a little bit of Ari when she came in and really already kind of had some of the playbook down. Her ability to get downhill. She's got some speed and quickness as well. So all of those things are what we need and what we miss without having Ari.
And then there's the bigger issue, the emotional and physical toll this places on players. Being asked to juggle scouting with their training schedule and game performance is not only unfair, but deeply unprofessional. Yet, this is the reality for players like Turner, who are essentially asked to wear multiple hats without the support they need.
Hold up, wait a minute. How the hell do Bree Turner discover a player? She's no scout. She's no recruiter. How the hell? She's supposed to be focusing on the season of bad she playing. Y'all got Bree Turner scouting players?
This isn't just bad for business, it's bad for Caitlin Clark. Imagine being the hottest player in the league, selling out arenas, and carrying your entire team's financial stability, only to realize that your management can't even bother to put the right pieces around you. That's the situation Clark finds herself in. Let's talk about Brianna Turner, a current Phoenix Mercury player who apparently discovered Kira Lambert overseas. Wait, what? Why is a player who's supposed to be focusing on her own game out scouting talent for another team? This raises some serious questions. How did the Fever get to this point? No scouts. So now they're relying on players to do the job. How is this even acceptable in a professional sports environment?
You lied to me. I think they merchandise sales was up like 300%. Y'all done made all them millions off CC Effect.
Now, let's compare. The Indiana Pacers, the Fever's NBA big brothers, have 8 listed scouts. 8. These guys are working around the clock, traveling, watching games, attending tournaments, and making sure the team builds a solid future with the right picks. Meanwhile, the Fever, they have 0 scouts. Not one. You can't even begin to understand how bizarre this is. A franchise in the WNBA, which needs all the help it can get to grow, is cutting corners on something so fundamental to their future success. Imagine if the Pacers operated the same way. It'd be laughed out of the league. The Fever are letting their star player Caitlin Clark carry them financially while failing to back her up with an actual team-building strategy. This is the kind of short-sightedness that can ruin careers, not just teams. But let's dive deeper into the repercussions of this strategy. But then, here comes Caitlin Clark. The Fever are making millions off her. Her games are breaking viewership records. Merchandise sales are skyrocketing. She's single-handedly putting the team back on the map. But you know what's shocking? The front office couldn't even be bothered to hire scouts. Think about it. The Fever are rolling in cash thanks to Clark, but they can't invest in a basic staff member to help them build a championship team around her. This is where the irony hits hardest. The Fever are out here talking about their record jersey sales, but they have no strategy to actually win. What's more ridiculous is that it's not just the Fever's short-term success that's being compromised, it's their long-term prospects. Without a competent scouting department, they're limiting their ability to secure the next great players who could help take the team to the next level. This doesn't just affect the team, it affects the league. as other franchises begin to question whether the WNBA is truly investing in growth. It's not just lazy, it's exploitative. Black players like Breonna Turner are doing the heavy lifting, scouting talent without pay. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is raking in millions, but the Fever's front office can't even afford a scout? That's not just bad management, it's systemic exploitation. Clark is making the Fever millions, but Turner and other players are left with no choice but to moonlight as talent scouts, working for free while the front office profits off the players' labor. Think about it. This isn't just a mistake, it's an ongoing systemic issue that's left unchecked for far too long. The emotional toll of being asked to scout while also playing a full season is enormous. It's taking away from their performance and their well-being. All this is happening while the front office sits back and collects profits without lifting a finger to improve the team's infrastructure. This is where exploitation crosses a dangerous line. And you know what? This isn't just an Indiana Fever issue. This is a league-wide problem. Teams like the Chicago Sky and Minnesota Lynx also don't have official scouting departments. The entire WNBA has let this slide under the radar. If the NBA invests millions in scouts to ensure the right players are picked and developed, why does the WNBA think they can operate without them? It's as if the league is just hoping for the best, relying on chance and vibes rather than professional infrastructure. This lack of investment in scouting is a direct reflection of the WNBA's overall failure to take itself seriously as a league. Teams are underfunded and undermanned, and players like Caitlin Clark, who could be the next big thing in sports, are being held back by outdated and inadequate systems. The league needs to evolve, and fast, if it's going to maintain the momentum Clark has created. At some point, Clark's going to have to face the truth. The Fever are making millions off her, but they're not investing in her future. If the front office can't even hire a scout, how can they expect to build a winning roster around her? It's clear, if the Fever don't step up, Clark might start looking for a new place to play. If her rookie deal ends, and she still hasn't seen any real investment in her career, she could very well take her talents to a team that actually values her potential. And it's not just about Clark's legacy, it's about her career longevity. She's a superstar, but even the brightest stars need the right team behind them to shine. Without the right supporting cast, she'll be left to carry a broken franchise, and that can't be sustainable. It's not just about today. The Fever's failure to invest in scouting is a clear indication that they have no long-term plan. They're cutting corners now. But what happens when Clark's prime is over, and the team is left with nothing but marketing campaigns? The Fever are making money today, but are they setting themselves up for success in the years to come? With no scouts, no plan, and no clear vision for their future, they're doomed to be a flash in the pan. How long can Clark keep this franchise afloat? And more importantly, when will the front office realize that sustainable success isn't built on short-term profits, but on long-term planning and investment? So why is this problem still hidden? Why isn't the media pushing for answers? Why does the narrative still get glossed over? The media, whether intentionally or not, has been complicit in protecting the brand image of the WNBA and the Fever. If a male-dominated league like the NBA had the same issue, the media would be all over it. But in women's sports, this glaring flaw is being swept under the rug. Why? Is the league afraid of admitting its mistakes? The silence from major sports outlets has allowed these issues to fester, and it's time the media steps up and holds teams accountable. Caitlin Clark's incredible story is being overshadowed by the lack of basic organizational infrastructure. It's time to start asking the hard questions. Caitlin Clark isn't just a star on the court. She's becoming a voice for the WNBA, and the more she plays, the more power she holds. She could use her platform to push for change within the league, and specifically within the Fever's management. As the biggest name in women's basketball right now, she has the leverage to force the front office to make some serious changes. If they want her to stay and lead them to titles, they're going to have to put in the effort. Clark is becoming the face of the WNBA. And with that power comes the ability to reshape how the league operates. If the Fever don't act soon, they risk losing the only thing keeping them relevant. One of the most glaring issues here is the disconnect between the Fever's management and the players themselves. You would think that a team banking so heavily on a once-in-a-generation talent like Caitlin Clark would have a deep, professional support system in place, right? Wrong. Instead of building a cohesive, well-funded team with specialized roles, the Fever are relying on their players to fill gaps in the system. From scouting to leadership, the players are being stretched thin, expected to do everything except focus solely on playing the game. That's not just a failure of resources, it's a failure of vision. When you don't invest in a professional structure for your players, the team suffers, and the players notice. Imagine being Caitlin Clark, knowing your team is rolling in cash thanks to your hard work, but your management is too busy focusing on short-term profits to invest in the infrastructure that will help you build a legacy. Caitlin Clark is not just the face of the Indiana Fever, She's the face of the entire WNBA right now. Every game she plays, every jersey sold, and every ticket bought is proof of her immense impact. But what happens when Clark realizes that the franchise she's carrying isn't pulling its weight? The consequences could be disastrous, not just for the Fever, but for the WNBA as a whole. Losing Clark would not only hurt attendance and merchandise sales, but it could also send a message to other rising stars: why invest your prime years into a team that doesn't value long-term success? Imagine if Clark decides to leave for a better-run franchise. Suddenly, the WNBA is left scrambling to fill the void, and a massive one at that. The league can't afford to lose its brightest star over something as preventable as poor management. Here's the bigger question: why hasn't the WNBA addressed these issues at a league level? If teams like the Fever are allowed to operate like this, what message does it send to the rest of the league? The WNBA should be setting a standard for all teams to follow, ensuring that all franchises, not just the ones with superstars, are investing in scouting, talent development, and long-term sustainability. But right now, it seems like the league is content to let teams like the Fever flounder, so long as the ratings are high. If the league truly wants to be taken seriously and compete with major sports leagues, it needs to address the systemic issues that are holding teams like the Fever back. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark. This is about the future of the WNBA as a whole. And if they don't fix it, they risk losing more stars and fans alike. Here we are. The Indiana Fever have one of the most valuable players in basketball history, but their front office can't even be bothered to hire a scouting team. Caitlin Clark has brought in millions for the league, but instead of receiving the support she deserves, she's left carrying a team that refuses to invest in its future. This entire scandal is a reflection of how far the WNBA still has to go in terms of professionalizing its operations. The Fever are cutting corners in every area, from staffing to talent scouting, and the fact that they've gotten away with it for this long is a testament to how much this league has overlooked basic infrastructure. The real question is, how much longer can Clark continue to thrive under these conditions? Will she stay and fight to change the culture, or will she seek a new home where her talent is truly valued? One thing's for sure: if the Fever front office continues to ignore their glaring shortcomings, they risk losing not only their star player but the credibility of the entire league. So, what do you think? Is this a case of mismanagement, or are the Fever setting up a bigger scandal for the future? Let us know your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you agree, and don't forget to subscribe for more breakdowns of the latest in sports news.